Excuse me, do you have a jack? The voice cut through the sound of rain hammering Daniel's windshield. He'd almost driven past. 11:17 p.m., highway shoulder, hazard lights blinking through the downpour. A woman in a business suit, soaked to the bone, waving one arm while pressing a phone to her ear with the other. Daniel's first instinct was to keep driving. He was late. He was exhausted. He was covered in drywall dust and concrete mix, and he needed to get home to his daughter. But he couldn't. His foot hit the brake. Subscribe now. What happens in the next 12 hours will change both their lives forever. The woman looked up as Daniel pulled onto the shoulder behind her, his truck's headlights illuminating the situation: flat tire, driver's side rear. She was maybe late 30s, dark hair plastered to her face, expensive-looking suit completely ruined. Daniel grabbed his rain jacket and got out. Need help? She lowered her phone, relief flooding her face. My roadside service says it'll be 2 hours. I have a spare but I've never. I don't know how to change a tire. I do. Pop your trunk. She hesitated for just a second. Stranger, dark highway, late at night. Daniel understood. I'm Daniel. I have a 6-year-old daughter at home waiting for me. I just want to help you get back on the road safely so I can get back to her. Something in his voice, maybe the exhaustion, maybe the sincerity, made her nod. Caroline. And thank you. Really. Have you ever helped someone when you really didn't have time? That's what kindness costs sometimes. Daniel worked fast, rain soaking through his jacket within minutes. Caroline held the flashlight from her phone, trying to angle it so he could see. What do you do? She asked, clearly trying to fill the awkward silence. Construction. Foreman. Daniel grunted as he loosened a lug nut. You. I'm a judge. Family court. Daniel's hands hesitated for just a fraction of a second, then kept working. A judge. Great. Probably thought he was some dirty laborer who. That must be hard work, Caroline continued. Construction, I mean. Physical. My ex-husband did residential framing for a while. I know the hours are brutal. They are. But it pays the bills. And I'm home for dinner with my daughter every night. That's what matters. You said she's 6. Yeah. Mia. She's everything. Caroline heard something in his voice, pride mixed with something else. Fear. Protection. You're a good dad, she said quietly. You can tell. Daniel looked up at her, rain dripping off his nose. How? You're late picking her up, you're clearly exhausted, but you stopped anyway. Because you're teaching her something without even being there, that you help people. That's what good parents do. They model the world they want their kids to live in. Daniel felt something crack in his chest. Tomorrow morning, he had a custody hearing. His ex-wife's lawyer was going to argue he was unfit, that construction work was unstable, that he couldn't provide the advantages she and her new wealthy husband could offer Mia. And here was a judge, a stranger, saying he was a good dad. He tightened the last lug nut and stood. You're all set. How much do I owe you? Nothing. Just, drive safe. Caroline pulled out her wallet anyway. Please. Let me give you something. I don't want your money. Daniel's voice was firm but not unkind. I stop for anyone who needs help. That's what I'm teaching my daughter, you don't walk past people in trouble. Comment below, would you have stopped? Caroline watched him walk back to his truck, this exhausted man in dirty work clothes who just spent 20 minutes in the rain helping a complete stranger. She wanted to say something more, to express the gratitude she felt, not just for the tire, but for the reminder that decent people still existed. But he was already pulling away, taillights disappearing into the rain. Caroline noticed something in her trunk as she was putting away the flat tire, Daniel's tire iron. He'd left it behind in his hurry. There was a piece of paper wrapped around it, protected in a plastic bag. She unfolded it. In hasty handwriting, "Keep this in your car. You'll need it if this happens again. D." The next morning, Daniel walked into the courthouse at 8:45 a.m. in the only suit he owned, bought secondhand 3 years ago for his father's funeral. Mia held his hand, wearing her favorite yellow dress, hair in 2 careful braids he'd learned to do from YouTube tutorials. "Is this where we see the judge?" Mia whispered. "Yeah, baby. Remember what we talked about? You're going to sit very quietly, Anne. And tell the truth if anyone asks me questions." "I know, Daddy." Daniel's ex-wife, Jennifer, was already there with her lawyer, a sharp-dressed woman who looked like she ate people like Daniel for breakfast. Jennifer's new husband stood beside her, all teeth and expensive watch. "Daniel." Jennifer's voice was tight. "I see you brought Mia. Was that really necessary?" "She wanted to come. This is about her. She should be here." The bailiff called them. Torres custody hearing. Courtroom 3. Daniel took a deep breath and pushed through the doors, Mia's small hand in his. Then he saw who was sitting at the bench. Caroline. The woman from last night. The judge. Subscribe so you don't miss what happened when their eyes met. For a long, frozen second, they just stared at each other. Caroline's professional mask slipped for half a heartbeat, surprise, recognition, then something else Daniel couldn't read. Then the mask was back, and she was Judge Westbrook again, all business. "Please be seated." But Mia had seen her too. And Mia, being 6 years old with no filter, said loudly, "Daddy. That's the lady you helped last night." Every head in the courtroom turned. Jennifer's lawyer pounced immediately. "Your Honor, I'm not sure what my opposing party's daughter is referring to, but if there's been any inappropriate contact between. There was a flat tire on Highway 40 last night around 11 p.m., Caroline said calmly. Mr. Torres stopped and changed it. "We spoke for approximately 15 minutes. That was the extent of our interaction." She looked directly at Daniel. "Mr. Torres, were you aware that I would be presiding over your case this morning?" "No, Your Honor." "Did you provide assistance with any expectation of favorable treatment in these proceedings?" "No, Your Honor. I had no idea who you were." Caroline nodded once. "Then we'll proceed. However, in the interest of complete transparency, I will note this incident in the record. Both parties have the right to request a different judge if they feel my impartiality has been compromised." Jennifer's lawyer started to speak, then hesitated. Asking for a different judge would delay proceedings by weeks, possibly months. And if the interaction was truly as innocent as described? "We have no objection, Your Honor." "Mr. Torres?" Daniel didn't have a lawyer. Couldn't afford one. "No objection, Your Honor." "Then let's begin." For the next 2 hours, Caroline heard both sides. Jennifer's lawyer painted a picture of a woman who'd made mistakes in her youth but was now stable, married, financially secure. A woman who could provide private schools, a big house, summers in Europe. A woman who was ready to be the mother she hadn't been able to be at 23. She painted Daniel as a man who meant well but was struggling. Working a physically demanding job with irregular hours. Living in a 2-bedroom apartment in a neighborhood that was, statistically higher crime. No college degree. No retirement savings. No plan for Mia's future beyond hoping things work out. It was devastating because it was true. Then Daniel spoke. He didn't have fancy arguments or legal precedents. He just told the truth. "I'm not rich," he said quietly. "I work construction because it's honest work that pays enough to support my daughter. I live in a small apartment because that's what I can afford, but it's clean and it's safe and Mia has her own room with a window that gets morning sun. I can't promise her private schools or trips to Europe. What I can promise her is that I will be there. Every morning, every night, every school play, every scraped knee, every bad dream. I've been there since the day her mother left, and I will be there for the rest of my life. He looked at Mia, who was watching him with complete trust. Your Honor, I know what I look like on paper. I know my ex-wife can give Mia things I can't. But I'm asking you to consider what I can give her that money can't buy. Stability. Presence. A father who shows up. Someone who taught her that when you see someone in trouble, you stop and help, even when you're tired, even when you're late, even when it would be easier to keep driving. If you haven't subscribed yet, comment why, because the ruling will break you. Caroline looked at the papers in front of her. Looked at Jennifer and her expensive lawyer and her wealthy new husband. Looked at Daniel in his second-hand suit, hands rough from work, standing alone without representation. Then she looked at Mia. Mia, Caroline said gently, can you come up here for a minute? Mia looked at her dad, who nodded. She walked up to the bench, tiny in her yellow dress. I'm going to ask you one question, okay? And I need you to tell me the truth. Not what you think anyone wants to hear, just the truth. Can you do that? Mia nodded seriously. When you're scared or sad or something bad happens, who do you want? Mia didn't hesitate. My daddy. Why? Because he makes everything better. He always knows what to do. And even when he doesn't know, he hugs me and says we'll figure it out together. Caroline felt something twist in her chest. Thank you, Mia. You can sit down now. She took a breath. Looked at her notes. Looked at the law. Looked at the man who'd stopped in the rain last night when he had every reason not to. I'm ruling in favor of the father. Primary custody remains with Mr. Torres. Jennifer gasped. Her lawyer started to object. Caroline held up her hand. Mrs. Patterson, you've demonstrated financial stability and good intentions. I'm granting you expanded visitation, every other weekend, alternating holidays, and 4 weeks in the summer. But Mia's primary residence will remain with her father. She looked directly at Daniel. Mr. Torres, you're not perfect. Your financial situation is precarious. Your hours are long. On paper, there are concerns. But character isn't something you can measure in income brackets or square footage. Character is what you do when no one's watching, except someone is always watching. Your daughter is watching. She sees who you are, and she trusts you completely. That trust isn't earned with money. It's earned by showing up, day after day, and proving you mean what you say. Caroline's voice softened slightly. This court has seen too many parents who can provide everything except presence. You've proven you can provide presence. That matters more than private schools. She brought down the gavel. This hearing is adjourned. Some say judges shouldn't let personal experience influence their rulings. Others say humanity should always be part of justice. What do you think? Drop your opinion below. 3 weeks later, Caroline was grabbing coffee before a long day of hearings when she heard a familiar voice. Daddy, can I get a muffin? She turned. Daniel and Mia were at a table by the window, Saturday morning breakfast date. He was in jeans and a flannel shirt, looking more relaxed than she'd ever seen him. Mia was coloring, tongue sticking out in concentration. Their eyes met. For a second, neither moved. Then Caroline smiled. Daniel stood, uncertain. Judge Westbrook. Caroline. We're not in court. Caroline. He gestured to the empty chair. Would you? I mean, if you're not busy. I'm not busy. Mia looked up as Caroline sat down. Hi. You're the judge lady. Daddy says you're really smart and fair. Your daddy is very kind. Caroline looked at Daniel. I never got to properly thank you. For the tire. And for the tire iron you left in my trunk. That was thoughtful. It's the least I could do. You'd already done more than enough. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, coffee between them, Mia's coloring creating a soft scratching sound. Can I ask you something? Daniel said quietly. And you can tell me if it's inappropriate. Ask. Did helping you that night, did it influence your decision? Caroline considered the question carefully. Your case was strong regardless. Your daughter's testimony was compelling. Your presence in her life was evident. But did it influence me? Yes. Because I saw who you were when you thought no one who mattered was watching. And that told me more than any custody evaluation ever could. She met his eyes. You stopped when you didn't have to. You helped when you had every reason to keep driving. That's character, Daniel. That's what I ruled on. I still owe you for that tire change, she added with a slight smile. Daniel smiled back, the first real smile she'd seen from him. How about you buy me a coffee instead? Deal. Mia looked up from her coloring. Are you gonna be Daddy's friend? Caroline and Daniel both laughed, surprised, awkward, genuine. I think so, Caroline said. If that's okay with you. That's okay. Daddy needs more friends. He works too much. Mia. It's true. You do. Caroline laughed again. Well, maybe I can help with that. They ordered more coffee. Talked about everything except law and custody and rain-soaked highways. Talked like two people getting to know each other for the first time, which, in a way, they were. Later, walking out to their cars, Mia between them holding both their hands, Daniel said quietly, thank you. For everything. For seeing me. Thank you, Caroline replied, for reminding me that good people still exist. Daddy helps people, Mia announced proudly. That's what daddies do. Caroline looked at this little girl, this man, this accidental meeting that had changed everything. Yeah, she said softly. That's what good people do.